Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Preferred Vendor Podcast. I have a very special guest with me today. I'm gonna let her introduce herself.
Hello, I'm Lauren Messina. I have LGM Weddings, wedding planning, coordinating, event planning. Do a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. So my first time working with you was at the Raymond for Ladarian and Courtney wedding.
Yep.
Tell me your thoughts about that wedding because it made a magazine and things like that. So what was your thoughts on that wedding?
That was I had never experienced that type of wedding. I'm gonna be real honest. Like from the decorations to the dancing during the reception, like it was none other. And I adore Courtney and Ladarian, and I'm still really good friends with them. So it was a different experience for sure.
That's what's up. So you say y'all are really good friends. You seen that happen to like most of your couples? Y'all keep in touch?
Yes, probably I'd say half of them I probably talk to every couple of weeks. They'll just send me a random text message. Like I had a bride the other day send me this like women empowerment video, and she was like, I thought about you. And I was like,
That's what's up. What's up. And that wedding was at the Raymond, and I saw not too long ago that you partnered with the Raymond.
In a way, I do. Raymond wanted to, they're always about growing and expanding, and that was one aspect that they wanted to bring to their brides. If they couldn't find a planner outside of the Raymond, we would offer it. So basically, I offer like day of, some full planning, depending on what the bride needs. Just an easier way for them to have access to a planner because it's really needed. It's really needed.
And I tell people, honestly, like my couples especially, like your planner / coordinator, whoever you get is important. It's like maybe one of the most important things because I've seen coordinators that could make or break a wedding. You know what I'm saying? So that's perfect. So explain to us a little bit that may not know the difference. So you say you do planning, you do coordinate, and you do day of coordinate. So can you kind of go through all three of them? So 'cause I know some couples may think that, a planner is the coordinator and is all of that. So kind of go through the difference of them.
I guess the biggest difference between a planner and a coordinator, to me, a coordinator is really just taking care of the week of details, the day of details. I'm helping you stay on a schedule that day. I'm getting you down the aisle that day. That's one big difference. Whereas planning, I'm starting from the very beginning with you. I am helping you pull in vendors. I'm helping you budget. I am helping you design your actual wedding day. I don't do the actual designing, but I help give information on what looks good in certain spaces, because certain venues do certain things and have certain spots that look great doing certain things in that spot. So I guess from a planner, I come in and say, hey, I've done this before here. It doesn't work well. I've done this before here. It's amazing. Whereas a coordinator is like, I'm just showing up and I'm making sure your timeline is good and I'm keeping you on that schedule all day.
Gotcha. That's super important. So so day of coordinate. So what do you suggest? I know, you do all three of them, but do you suggest at the end of the day they need to at least have a day of coordinator at the very least?
At the very least, I will say I don't enjoy doing day of only.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. Because it's kind of like it's more frustrating than it is anything, because I come in not knowing what that bride's been through over the last 6 months to a year working with certain vendors, or maybe I don't know a vendor that she's hired and I'm having to jump in first time the day of meeting that vendor, and I don't know what they've agreed on, that's my issue with day of only. So I started I kind of took my day of only away, and I have a partial, whereas like I'll refer vendors to you, but I still want to know what's going on with you. You can text me at any time. We can talk about what I think about a certain vendor or what their prices are, but you're ultimately the one in control.
Yeah.
So I feel like, yes, at the very least, you need a day of.
Yeah, at the very least, yeah.
But more.
Yeah, but you need more. You need more. Because that was important what you just talked about too, because with you, being in the industry, worked at different venues and things like that. So you can kind of suggest, hey, this may go better here. This may go better there. So, I know people will go with who they go with. But do you suggest that trying to find someone that's experienced, that got a little experience under their belt? Yes. That's important.
It's very important. And that was one of the reasons with the venue that I work with. They wanted that because people were like, oh, I have a day of, because they require it. Well, then they were asking Aunt Susie or somebody from the church. And, that's not a bad thing. Yeah. But there's so much more in this world that has developed. You need more than just the person that's going to get you down the aisle.
Wow.
So in my opinion.
That's important. So how long have you been in the industry?
I've been in the industry going on 10 years.
Okay.
I started and it actually goes back to when my mom used to coordinate weddings at our church. Cool. So I was used to coordinating the ceremony and helping her with that. And I just always loved it. Didn't realize it was like a dream until I really delved into it 10 years ago with a local vendor that did floral and catering. And I was like, I really like this.
That's cool. So what was it like your first wedding like? Like, can you go back and think, can I tell everyone my first wedding, I had just started taking pictures, right? I tell this crazy story. I was at the tailgate at JSU and a guy put on my mind, go buy a camera, and then so I went and bought a camera, then didn't know I needed batteries or a memory card or nothing with the camera. And then so I started taking pictures. Like a week later, a friend of my mom's texted me and said, hey, my cousin daughter's getting married and wondering, how much would you charge? I'm like, yeah, I can do it for $100 and all of that. And I still remember it like yesterday. And then me and my friend, we both went there. Okay, I was kind of nervous going by myself, so I take pictures sometime and he'll take pictures. We using one camera doing the wedding. So that was my first wedding experience. Yeah. So what was your first wedding experience like?
It actually was photographing.
Oh, okay.
I tried.
Oh, cool.
I had my what is it? The TS Rebel,
yeah.
And it was the same thing. It was a family friend, and she was like, I just want somebody to take pictures, because it wasn't a big deal back then, taking photos. Yeah. So I was like, I have a decent camera. Let me try.
So that was it? That was like the one and done? Like you got out of it right after that? Oh, man.
Yeah. I didn't do terrible, but I was like, this is not me. Yeah. I didn't like the after the fact having to I didn't like that. I didn't. I loved being there the day of and making people do things.
Yeah.
I like to control the people.
That you do. That one thing you're right about that.
Yeah.
You're right about that.
Yeah.
You're right about that. So what was your first wedding experience like with you being a planner or coordinator then?
I think it was actually a Starkville wedding.
Okay.
And it was day of only. And I remember calling my mom and being like, Mom, does what grandmother goes first? What mom goes down the aisle? Who does? And she was like, now, Lauren. And I was like, I just need you to list it out for me, so I know what I'm doing. So I look like I know what I'm doing. And so she told me what grandmother needed to go down first versus the last one to go in before the wedding party. And I just remember I loved being in control and really taking that stress away of having to be like, hey, what time is it? Or like mama being like, hey, we're not on time. Or the photographer being like, hey, are we running out of time? I was there to facilitate and answer and make sure their people were where they needed to be. Man. And I was like, I like this.
Man, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So I like what you kind of just said, because I feel like a lot of people in whatever profession or industry that they're in feel like I have to be to a certain point before I get started. So would you suggest that, hey, if this is something that you want to do, you should just go for it,
Yeah. I think if you're wanting to get in this realm of weddings or events, I started with my mom, back when I was little, and then I started with photography, random little things, go help a photographer. If a photographer needs a second shooter or an assistant, go do it. I think that's why I do so well on a wedding day, is because I've worked with a florist. I've worked with a caterer. Those are my backgrounds. I think getting in there and really delving into each aspect of a wedding day or an event helps you see the full picture on the day of.
Wow.
For sure.
Wow. And I can second that, because you were one of the first, planners, coordinators that I work with that had everything ready when we showed up. Like, you know, I didn't have to go look for rings or a program and everything. And it made it so much easier to make like the process go forward. And honestly, like I said, we only done that wedding together. But I tell people all the time, like, yeah, you should definitely get her because she know, you know what I'm saying? She'll have everything ready for you, everything. So coming from a photographer standpoint, you definitely made my job a lot easier. And I'm sure that you make all the vendors' job a lot easier. So do you feel that stress though? Like, okay, I'm taking on, I gotta make sure all the vendors here have an easy process with this. Like, do you feel that, or are you just so excited that?
No, it's more of an excitement, knowing that I can, you know, the imposter syndrome, that's a big thing everybody's talking about on social media. I'm like, but it's real.
Yeah, it is.
Like, people come to you and they're like, but they ask you questions and you know the questions. You're like, how do I know this? And you're like, wait, I've experienced it. Yeah. I'm just reflecting what I've experienced. So, yeah, I love it. I literally absorb. It's not a stress for me. And I know a lot of people can't say that. Yeah. I've been told multiple times, they're like, I don't know how you handle the stress.
Yes,
and I'm like, it's not stress for me. Like, honestly, I just love doing it. It's adrenaline for me.
That's what's up. Yeah. That's what's up. Yeah, I really love that. Like I said, you made the process go super smooth. So we'll go back to the wedding that we worked together, right? You mentioned that like that was your first time seeing like the dances, so that was your first time working like a wedding that, you know, was like fraternity, sorority, things like that.
Yeah, it was the first one I had done with the line dancing and I went to college and I saw it in college because Courtney actually went to Southern with me.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, and I remember we would do the cross. Sorority stuff and dancing, and I was like, it was just a whole nother level.
Wow.
It was a culture I had heard about, but like being in it, just that energy, like none other. It was none other. Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. I mean, how you worked it, you would think that you were expert at that. So, you know, honestly, like you was right along with it. You had made sure everything went along and everything. Yep. So, yeah, so that's different. So, is there, just being honest, is there a culture difference between, let's say, you know, a wedding of color versus, you know, a white wedding?
Oh, absolutely. There's not, I don't know. It's like it's the coming together in your culture that is like, it's just different. It's more of a family of I don't even know how to explain it. There's an energy around it that everyone is like connected to. Whereas in the white culture, it's not. Like, I mean, they're just there to have a good time.
Yeah, that's it.
You know, like there's no traditions that really stand out.
Oh, see, I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that because that's one thing I have experienced. I haven't done too many white weddings, but you know, I've done a few, and what I experienced that you know, people of color usually stick to more traditions.
Yes.
It's hard. It's really hard for me to get a bride to do a first look. It's really hard for me to get, you know, a bride to kind of like, you know, go out of the norm a little bit, you know. So that's another question I was gonna ask you. Like, you know, the wedding I did do, they was fine with everything. Like, okay, we do first look, we do it, you know, anything you want, but you know, trying to stick to more tradition. So I'm glad you did say that. Like, it's definitely more traditional.
And it's bigger traditions. They're more substantial. They're not just like, oh, this is my mama's sixpence ring. You know, like it's not like little things. It's big things. Yeah. It's group activity things.
It is. It is. That's what's up. So how has your partnership with the Raymond been going so far?
It's really good. It's really good. We have... and I always try to encourage brides, like when I do get them on the phone, if you have somebody in mind, we want you to go with that person because there are some amazing vendors out there or planners. I mean, I have group texts with most of them. And like we go back and forth about stuff all the time. We rely on each other to refer each other, to ask questions, whether we think a certain vendor's prices are right. Like, I mean, I did that recently. Oh, cool. So, I mean, it's been really good, but also encouraging people to use local as well.
Gotcha.
Not me only, but
Gotcha. So when the bride come to you, do you have your vendor list that you already send out? Like, well, I know this, and this person is going to do a great job. Do you have that?
I guess when I started off, I did because I was using it like every time I use somebody, I'm like, oh, I really liked them. But now, I always ask the bride, what's your style? I need to see pictures because if their photography is light and airy, I'm not going to refer someone who does dark and moody.
Yeah, gotcha.
Like, so it really has to do with their style and what they're looking for. And then I give them a list of ones that I love to work with or I've heard are great to work with. So
now that was a great little tip, because just for you know, up and coming coordinators or planners that be getting into it, they may have their preferred vendor list already, no matter who, you know, what the bride likes. So you definitely suggest, like, you know, get a feel for the bride first. That's important. That's important. I haven't seen someone, you know, talk. Usually people got their vendor list and they stick with it and how they go.
And that's great, but I feel like this, like, first of all, there's plenty of work to go around.
Yeah, definitely.
But B, it really does have to do with the bride's style. Like, I can't sit here and say, oh, this person's going to be great for you if it's not their style. You know, like, and don't get me wrong, I was that when I first started. I had a whole page on my website of all of these vendors. Like a lot of vendors. I was like, I didn't really realize there were this many vendors. And then I finally, like, took it off because it was too much. Yeah. And you didn't have any way to, like, elaborate on who was what.
Yeah, so, you're right. I used to now I still refer, like, if people come to me and ask me, you know, general things like, you know, do you know a good planner? Do you know a good cake person or something like that? Like, I'll sing you, like, okay, yeah, you could give this person a call. I'm not telling you to use this person, nothing like that, but hey, I worked with this person in the past and they've done a great job. So so I do that, but I don't have a, you know, a referral or a vendor list as well. So I'm with you on that. But then one thing also I say, you definitely want to know your vendors or the people that you're referring to, because just because I worked with you one time, you did good that way, and don't mean you may do good, you know, at the next one. So, you know, I kind of like, hey, you could check this person out, but, you know, go at it with your own discretion. I definitely tell them that. Yeah,
and I have some brides that'll say, hey, have you ever worked with this person? And if I haven't, I have nothing to go off of. And I don't ever tell them not to book them. I'm very open. I'm like, call them, talk with them, see if there's somebody you know that's worked with them before, or if I've, like, heard something. Like, I'll say, hey, I've heard this. I don't know if that's true, false, or in between. But, yeah, it's a hard, like, I want to work with the people I work with. Yeah. But if you come in with somebody else, I'm not going to tell you no.
Yeah. Gotcha. That's important, though. Yeah. So with you, I'm sure you've done so many weddings, you know. So what would you say, have you done a destination wedding before?
No, I want to.
Oh, man. So that's next. That got to be next on the docket there.
It's goals.
So but you've done weddings outside of the state?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So is there a little more difficult to it if a wedding outside of the state versus something that may be local?
Yes and no, because I don't have the vendor connection. So, like, I did one in Birmingham. Thank goodness she picked a location that had everything at it. But, like, pricing's a little different, and, you know, vendor connections are a little different. So you kind of have to rely on where they are or whoever they're working with over there to give you good advice.
Got you.
You just kind of wing it.
Man, I can't imagine. Yeah, I've been lucky to do. You know what? I get lucky, and I get a destination wedding every year. But the same spot though, I do Cancun every year. For some, I don't know how it happens. I'm gonna knock on wood before it stops. But every year, at least one wedding a year, I get a chance to do a Cancun wedding. So that's pretty good. So I'm gonna have to take you with me there. Yes, for sure. It's super fun. It's super fun.
They can just pay for everything. I'm good.
Yeah, just show up. Hey, listen, I'm gonna tell them now. All right. But I do want to ask you, so what are your thoughts on just the wedding industry here in Mississippi? Because people think, you know, Mississippi, you know, you hear the you know, the negative things, you know, it's a poor state, la. But I tell people weddings are thriving in Mississippi. So what are your thoughts on that?
Since I've started my company in the last 3 years, every year it's gotten bigger and bigger. And granted, I started COVID year, so we only had up to go, you know.
Wow.
Like, so, but it's literally gotten big every single year. There's more. People want more out of it. They want all the flowers. They want all the rentals. And so, no, it is not. We are not a poor state when it comes to weddings.
Yeah.
I mean, my average, and I wouldn't even say this is low, is 30,000. Like, that's starting.
Wow.
And then it goes up from there.
Wow.
And if anything, they're having to go up in price because of the market.
Yeah, definitely.
But they're getting bigger.
Wow.
If I had to say.
Wow.
Not smaller.
Man. So if you had a bride come to you like, hey, I want something nice, but what is the minimum I can spend on niceness? What would your number be?
That's a loaded question. So you have to get kind of head count first. Like, how many people are you looking at bringing in?
That's important right there. That's important.
So at a $30,000 budget, you're looking at like $100 to $150. I mean, 100 to 150 head count.
Yeah.
And then I always ask, what's most important? Like when you go into your wedding day, what do you want to remember the most? And that's where your money needs to go. If food's more important, then we need to talk about that.
Yeah.
And then I always section out everything. So to me, when you section out like food, photography, flowers, each one has a price range.
Yeah.
And so just, and it can be a lower end or a higher end. So
Man.
Yeah.
Man. So let me ask you with that too then. So I was talking to a couple and I was asking them like if you could go back, what would you change? Would you change food? Would you change, anything like that? What would you say your most important things to a wedding? Because I feel like you're gonna get what you pay for. So you pay for a photographer, you're gonna get what you pay for with, the person that makes the cake and everything. The more you pay, the nicer it may be. Not all the time, but But what would you say? So in my top three most important things outside of photography, everything, I don't even count that, but I would say food, DJ, and a bar. That would be my top three things. Yeah. What would you say your top three things that absolutely you are must haves at a wedding?
Bar, love a bar, but you do have people that just don't want a bar.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take that one aside. Like you did photography, I'm going to take that one aside because it's just is what it is. Number one would be photography and videography.
Got you.
Videography is the number one thing that is regretted after the fact that they didn't do.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Yeah. And
so I just always say that when they're like, I don't know, I'm on the fence. I'm like, okay, here's a fact, fun fact. And so that I would say that's number one to me. And then food. And I don't. Flowers is hard for me. Like, I love all the pretty flowers, all the pretty things. Like, that is my slogan. But it is hard to push flowers if they don't love flowers. Yeah. Or they don't want to spend the money on the flowers.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Yeah.
So, DJ and band would be my third.
Do you recommend a live band? Like, hey, if you could fit this band in the budget, you should do it.
Bands are becoming more of a have to now.
Wow.
Yeah, over DJ.
Wow.
Yeah.
For real?
Yes.
I've never been to a wedding without a DJ. So how is that experience then?
You have to get the right band. I will say that. Okay. Back, I guess 6 or 7 years ago, I was like, no, DJ all the way. Okay. You know what? Like band, it's going to be just what what they can play. They're not going to be wild and crazy out there. Nowadays, they're doing like a mixture of things. And so they're doing now music and like the old 70s music. So it's a mix. There's one DJ that I love, and it's Adam Collier. Like, he does and he has a band too.
Oh, see, that's cool.
Love him. Yeah. And he's probably one of my top DJs just because of the way he performs that day. So I think it just depends on who you get as a DJ. Yeah, important. Because there's great vocal DJs and music inclined DJs, but then there's like crazy out there DJs who get on the dance floor who are gonna make you so there's that
make you get up and dance. That's why I tell people that's super important. You just don't want a DJ that plays. Cause I tell people I've seen a DJ just really, I ain't gonna say ruin a wedding, but they played the wrong songs all night. Yeah. And it kind of just doesn't create a vibe or it doesn't create anything for the wedding. He don't
you
make
have to
no
read.
You have to read the crowd, definitely. So I tell people, one of my favorite DJs I work with a lot, DJ Rafe, he does, and DJ Cujo, both of them, they do it. Yeah, so they do a really good job. I just like how they interact with the crowd, like you said. They get up, they talk to the crowd, make them talk back, walk around with a mic, things like that. So I think that's super important. But like I said, I'm really interested in doing a wedding that's with it all band, all live band.
I would say this year. Probably half of my weddings are bands this year. Oh man, that's cool. And that's another thing that every year it gets more and more prominent. Band. Like I gotta have a band.
Wow. So if they have a band, do they have a MC, or is the band kind of the MC as well?
All together.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I can't wait to.
I know.
I'm ready to watch the story so I can look at it. For sure. So you are just coming off a wedding expo, right? So was this your first wedding expo, number one?
It was.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about that process and what did you think, what made you, number one, want to do a wedding expo?
I love the aspect of all vendors working together. I love the friendships that are created, and I love being able to support other vendors in this realm, and having them show off what they can do best. And when my friend Megan, Megan, with the apartment association, she was like, "Hey, there's a space downtown. We need to look at it. You need to do something." And I was like, "That's not big enough for what I have in mind." And so it just rolled from there. And so we found the Sheraton, and we ended up doing it at the Sheraton. And there used to be one way before COVID that went away. And I was like, it's needed with the way weddings are going now. It is needed on that scale again. And so I was like, I'll do it. Man. So is this something that you kind of always wanted to do? That's what's up. So what made you just say, I'm doing it this year? I don't know. I'm being real honest. It was something that I believe God put on my heart, to be honest. I think he said, hey, I think this is needed. And I remember praying and saying, okay, if this is not what I'm supposed to be doing, I need you to tell me. I need you to put some kind of stop sign in front of me. And he didn't. He kept plowing through. And it was a lot of what I envisioned, but even more. Man,
it was amazing. Next level amazing. So it was really good. So what was your thoughts on everything then at the end of the day? When you finally over with, y'all, you got to sit down and be like, wow. So what was your initial thoughts?
Did that happen? Man. It was like, wait, did that just happen? Did I really just start something and complete it and just blow it out of the water? You did. And it was just, wow. And I've talked to several vendors afterwards, and they've all been able to book off of it a lot. Definitely. So that's all I wanted. Definitely. All I wanted.
I really enjoyed it because I've been asked to do them a few times, just different expos here and out of state and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, I kind of got a client list, I really don't, but I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give it a try. You know what I'm saying? But it coming from a vendor, something that I've been wanting to do anyway, so it kind of made me kind of clean my stuff up a little bit. So I was like, okay, I need to get a rollout banner. I need to, get my videos together so I can show them, and I need to, everything. And I still wasn't 100% prepared. I need to get a suit so I can look professional and stuff like that. So, so I say from a vendor, I really definitely enjoyed it coming from a vendor standpoint. Got a chance to, like you said, network with other vendors, because I tell people all the time, it's enough. I don't want to do everybody's wedding. I don't want to be. You physically can't.
I had to. Yeah.
Man, and I said, listen. I love my weekends off. So, like I said, so it definitely was a good opportunity to network with other vendors. You had venues there. You had DJs. You had caterers. You had really everybody in the industry. So, how did you get a chance to build that network that you could be like, hey, y'all, I'm doing this, and people actually trust you to okay, I'm gonna go give it a shot?
That was another in the imposter syndrome series that I was like, they're trusting me to do this. Man. And most of them were like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're doing this. Man. And I'm like it's hard. It was totally hard, so I don't want to say that it was totally hard. But yeah, it was. I contacted all of my core ones that I use a lot or just back and forth with, and went to them first. And then after that, I started ramping up social media on it. And then I got a lot of vendors that came in for the show, walking with their brides or just coming to see.
I saw that a lot too,
just coming to see, what is this about?
I saw that a lot too.
I had a lot approach me and say, hey, I want in next year. And I was like, okay, cool. And I knew that it would take 1 year full of it for people to see the value in it. Even the ones that did trust me and jump in still needed to say, okay, wait, hold on. Is this good? Or am I gonna make money off of this? Is this gonna pay back? I'm like, I hope so.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, me knowing you, and like I said, that was just off one. I mean, I'm real cool with Ladarian, Courtney, so I know you off them. If they trust you, that is already done. But me working off you, I was able to build my own trust for you. So when you came, I was like, yeah, I give it a shot. I wouldn't do it for everybody. I'm like, I give it a shot. I give it a shot over there. But it was 1,000% worth it. So anybody that's thinking about whenever the list or the flyer go up for next year, you should definitely sign up ASAP. I'm sure it'll probably sell out next year. So it probably won't be any vendor space available next year.
We were like, I have a little room to expand, but not much. So jump in.
So how do you improve off that then? So how do you take that next step?
Well, and I kind of thought about that, and I had a lot of people say, "Oh, you need to do this more than once a year," which I don't love the idea of that because I don't want to oversaturate.
Gotcha.
But I have thought about doing like a mini mid-year of some sort, whether we pick a venue that is already signed on, and we pull in some of the vendors, or we do a runway show. Not the day of. I don't want to do it the day of the show, because that was one thing that in my research, I talked to a few other vendors. They were like, it pulled people away during the show. And I was like, I don't want that. I want FaceTime with brides, and I want FaceTime for vendors. That was most important for me.
Gotcha.
So there's some works.
Man. So I can't even imagine. You had everything, and you had a bar. So that was
I know, right? There will be alcohol.
People like, I was getting to my most. They're like, who that for? I'm like, that's for me.
Mimosas and cake samples.
Man, you can't beat that. You can't beat that. Perfect location, perfect everything. So you probably doing it at the same location.
Yes. I'll keep it at the Sheraton. Hopefully, locking in a date soon.
Man, that's what's up. So tell me, what do you just love about doing weddings? And then you do events also, though, right?
Yes, I do.
So do they both kind of run together for you, or weddings is my first love? And then, I do events, but I love weddings. So tell me what you think about that.
I don't know. I think I love events in every level.
So is wedding like an event to you then?
Yeah. It is. It's a big event. Yeah. But like with Ladarian, I actually do association work with him now, and I didn't even realize there was like that capacity for me to really love associations and conventions and that kind of thing. And so it's for me, every event, it's the starting of it, the like all of the filling in all the blanks and getting everything ready, and then watching it come to fruition. Like hands down, biggest high I've ever had. Like with every event. Yeah,
I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine, man.
It's amazing.
Man, that's what's up. So a bride that may be thinking about, that just got, engaged or something like that, can you give them some tips on, okay, they're planning their wedding, things like that? Yeah. Give them some tips on like what should be their first things they should do?
Get a list of all of the things you would need for your wedding day, from venue to dresses to hair and makeup to invitations. Make a list and be like, okay, these are all the things I have and that I need. And then sit down and think, what is my budget? And then get a planner. Like,
get a planner.
I would have never said that before, and I'm not saying it because I am a planner, but like, you don't realize like you can get discounts. You can get connections with vendors who would rather work with a planner than not.
Definitely.
And who would be willing to give a discount because of it. Definitely. And so that's why I encourage you to get the planner early. Gotcha. Because the price doesn't change whether you get me now or you get me 2 months out if I'm available. If I'm even available.
That's the big thing there.
Yeah. Definitely. So I mean, you need to do it as soon as possible, honestly.
So you say make a list first before contacting the planner? So is it important then? Or
just so you realize like
kind of what you want a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, whether you acquire that list through the planner or on your own, because you're going to find out real fast, like, oh, wait, I don't know what I don't know. And I feel like I'm missing things. And that's when the planner comes in.
Got you.
Most brides already know the venue they want. Yeah. And sometimes the photographer. So those are the two things they already have.
that.
Yeah, or at least the style that they're wanting.
Yeah, gotcha.
So, in which that is really most important. That venue, you need to jump on it real fast.
Yeah,
if you have one in mind,
sell out quick.
they do, and there's not a lot to go around.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
if you want to open a venue somewhere,
hey, no.
I will not do that. But I encourage anybody else to do it.
So let me talk about that before we get back into that. Why wouldn't you open? Because I did a venue, and venues are tough. And you know what? I say venues are tough, especially with me, because I feel like if I didn't do photography, maybe I would have had, it was successful. It completed. We had weddings. We had fashion shows there.
Yeah.
It went from a dump to actual wedding. And
Yeah.
that was my highlight. Okay, I knew I could do this.
Yeah.
I did it. And now, did I make money off of it? I didn't, because you got unexpected stuff that happens and everything. But I would say, like, if I wasn't a photographer, if I didn't have to work every Saturday at a wedding, I couldn't really be at the venue. So now I'm expecting someone else to kind of uphold what I would do there without me. So but I would say, like, a venue is a good thing, but what would stop you from doing a venue?
The maintenance of it.
Yes.
I don't know. It's just, I don't want to deal with if plumbing, something happens with the plumbing, or like I've been to a venue where it rained and it started leaking through the floor. Let me call somebody.
Yes.
You know, like, I don't want to be the person they're calling to fix that. I just,
Man, it was tough, and you said the main word, maintenance, because it was so many times that I'm at a wedding and someone asked the venue, like, "Hey, the roof is leaking." I'm like, "Oh, what y'all want me to do? Like, there's nothing I could do. Like, you know, I could call someone to come clean it up. You know, I'm not even there. Like, I'm literally finna catch this bride coming down the aisle myself. So that's why I wasn't too mad getting out of it, because like you can't do everything.
No,
that's one thing that I realized. You can't do everything. But I feel like you would be a great venue owner though, because since the one thing I was excited about a venue with me doing weddings, because it's some venues that not very photogenic, right?
Yeah.
Or, you know, things like that, or not very, you know, just some venues that, you know, it's just not, you know, too functional. It's very beautiful, but it's not as too functional.
Yeah.
So I feel like people who's actually in the wedding industry make a creative venue and it become, you know, perfect.
well, I mean, I've had people ask me my opinion on a venue and what I think you need and don't. I mean, that's something that I do with the Raymond. I give them advice on what is needed and not needed, and as a planner, what's beneficial for me.
Yeah.
And my other vendors. And I'm more than willing to help with that.
Yeah.
I just don't know if I want that overhead.
Yeah.
It does not sound appealing to me
It's
at
a
all.
lot. It's a lot. It is a lot. It
Yeah.
is a lot. And what's a funny story with the Raymond? My first studio was actually in Raymond, but I was actually finna open it up at the Raymond. Where it was an abandoned building.
Yeah.
And I met with the owner and everything, and it was gonna be too much. Cause I had to do a lot of remodeling by myself, and I wasn't thinking about wedding venue and stuff at that time. I just wanted a cool photography studio. I was gonna use the bottom part for a big. They could pull cars in. I could take pictures of people in cars in large groups and things like that. And then use upstairs for like offices and dressing rooms and stuff like that. So I was actually thinking, so when I saw like, you know, but in my head, I was like, this would be a good venue though and everything. So when I saw it, then that's when they still had like the flower shop there and everything. So when I saw like, what it turned into, I was like, man, that's the perfect idea. That was great. Great.
They have a standard that, and there's other venues that have the same standard, but they did it really well. And I tell them that all the time. I'm like, y'all did this very well.
They did.
Like
they did.
The layout, the bridal suite, the groom's room, like it's all there.
It's perfect. It's perfect. And that's one thing that I realized with a lot of venues, just I would say locally, I'm not sure too much, but there's not a lot of space for grooms. You know, they kind of, you know, push towards brides, make sure the brides are straight. But, you know, sometimes the grooms are just getting dressed, you know, where they could get dressed at. So that's another thing that I really liked about them. So
And there's a few other venues out there that are starting to get onto that and actually provide that or set it up that way.
That's good. So it was cool that they kind of set the standard for that. So that's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
But people act like Raymond is so far, though. Do you get that a lot?
Yes. But my thing is like a lot of our venues are far.
Yeah.
Like Bridalwood
is far.
Is far. So So I mean, it's
far, yes.
I mean, I say treat it as like a destination wedding.
Yeah,
I mean, not
definitely.
really destination, but destination wedding.
Definitely.
But yeah.
Definitely. So, what do you love about some of your favorite venues around here? Then,
I think all of them have certain aspects that I really love, and again, it goes to what the bride loves. I love doing weddings at all of them.
Yeah.
There's not one in particular that I really love more than the other, to be really honest. There are some that have a lot more help than others day of. There are some that just, you don't have to work hard to get a good picture out of it.
That's true.
Like,
that's true.
And then you have some that have great bridal and groom options.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I mean, I think there's like fun things at every single one of them and good aspects on every single one of them too. So
That's important. So when a couple come to you, they don't have a venue in mind, but they're kind of telling you like, this is kind of my style.
Yeah.
Do you suggest a venue for them? Like,
I do. I usually start with the style. Like, what are you going for? Are you going for rustic? Are you going for old? Are you going for clean lines? And there's really not that many to go around in each aspect, so it narrows it down a good bit. I mean, the Faulkner, if you want modern and clean line and just beautiful lighting and skyline, there you are. You know, if you want to feel like you're in the middle of New Orleans and Live Oaks over there, I mean,
that's beautiful.
Stunning.
That outside area out there is gorgeous.
It is stunning.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that.
If you want the rustic feel, Bridalwood.
Bridalwood.
All the way.
Definitely.
Like, and again, it's far out there.
It is far out there.
People love it.
Yes.
It's got your hunting feel. There's always deer out there.
Yes,
always.
it is. It is all the time.
All the time. So like you kind of nod towards the grooms on that one. And then you have Raymond that is like the old feel.
Yeah, definitely.
And then you have the South that has been around for a while, but it's still got that old like Jackson.
It does.
And then the railroad.
Yeah, definitely.
Modern lines, white. It's beautiful.
Definitely. When the last time you did a wedding in a church? Because it used to be a thing that people got. You said your mom. Yeah. People used to get married in the church. My mom got married in the church and things. So when do you think churches start becoming an afterthought and venues start becoming a thing? And when the last time you done one in a church?
Well, I actually I don't know when it changed, and I don't know why it necessarily changed. I think when the full picture of having the idea of having everything in one spot, I think that is a little bit of it.
Definitely.
But I actually have 4 or 5 this year that are in church
oh, cool.
and then reception somewhere else, which I'm pretty excited about.
Yeah.
Because there is something to be said about
that church wedding.
Yeah, about that spirituality, that feel. It is. So yeah, I'm excited about those.
That's cool. That's cool. Now, you said with the difference. I mean, I love doing church weddings too. I recently did one around last November or whatever. And it was pretty cool. I like it. It gives you you're kind of limited on certain space of what you could do. As a photographer and videographer, doing both, trying to set up 5 cameras in different spots and everything. Yeah. So you kind of limited in that aspect. But like I said, I do love, especially thinking about just, how the final product gonna look like, how the church feel. I definitely agree with that. But how do you feel about, because that's a little tough leaving one spot then going to another spot.
Oh, it's totally hard.
So how so how you feel about that? Then how do you make that work? Because I tell people like, okay, I gotta stay back, I gotta do these pictures, but those when I gotta make sure that I send someone else, hey, I need you. Or sometimes I hire guys to just go to the reception and get pre-shots of it before. Like, they don't come to the wedding at all. Like, hey, are you free around 5 o'clock? I just need you to go take pictures, get a little footage for me so I can get it empty. So when I come over there, I don't have to worry about that, because that's a tough thing. But how do you feel about having to, okay, now we got to go over here, I got to set everything up over here? How do you do that?
I enjoy the jumping around, but it does cause me to bring in an assistant, which I usually bring an assistant to most, but then I have to actually she's not helping me directly. I have to send her to do something else.
Wow.
So that's, I don't love that, but I love the jumping around.
Yeah.
It does cause for more money because you got to get transportation for your wedding party.
You do.
There's some churches don't necessarily have great picture options. So you kind of have to think, okay, where do I want the majority of my pictures to be taken? So you may have to pick an off-site venue for that. Like I have one coming up in March that we're doing. They're getting ready at the Westin. They're taking pictures at the Art Museum. And then they're getting married at St. Peter's.
Oh, man.
So, and then Railroad District.
Man, so that's a nice little travel there.
It is.
That's a nice little travel.
So transportation's involved, all the things.
And I think that's important that you get and I get your opinion on that. When something like that, I have everybody, okay, y'all, either y'all park your cars at the hotel or go park at the venue that, where the reception going to be at, and then we'll have wherever a transportation come pick you up. Yeah. Because I've seen that's the hardest thing where, like, okay, we're leaving the church and it's time to get to, the next location, and somebody might make a detour and stuff like that. And like I said, the human element in weddings is the one thing that can kind of deter you and things like, okay, we got everybody but one groomsman here. Or we got everybody but one bridesmaid or something like that. So do you suggest brides that may be doing that to have a transportation where all the guys can be here and all the girls can, all the ladies can be on this transportation, that they ride together?
Yes, I love being able to like have all of my wedding party and bride and groom in a bus together.
That's perfect.
So like that wedding in particular that's coming up, we have him picking them up at the Westin, taking them to St. Peter's. He's going to stay there. And when the wedding is over, like as they're walking down the aisle, because we won't have pictures afterwards.
Okay.
That's why I always encourage, if you can, do it all before. But they will literally jump right on that bus and head straight to reception, and then we'll hide the bride and groom away.
Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect.
There's no like confusion. There's no like we're getting there, and I can monitor all the people at the same time.
Man, that's perfect. Because that's an important thing right there.
Yeah.
Can I tell people half of my job is rounding everybody up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like people like, and then once you get everybody rounded up, you start taking. They're like, well, what's taking so long? I'm like, I literally just got them together.
That's why you need a planner coordinator.
Right there. That's important. Cause just being honest, a lot of people think that once I do, their job is kind of like, all right, it's the photographer job now and stuff like that. I'm like, no, I need y'all to help me round these people up, keep them in line so we can make it go quicker. Yeah. So that's definitely
get all
important.
the details out of the way.
That's definitely important. Yeah. That's definitely important. Now, you did just say something with, I can't remember what you just said. I'm going to hate myself for it, but you said, not to bringing the people together, I'm going to have to come back to it. But it was really important what you just said. I can't think of it. Keeping them all together. Why is that important for you?
Because, like you said, I don't want as a planner, I don't want my other vendors to have to look for somebody. That's my job to make sure they're already there. So if I can keep them isolated in one section, and it monitors like if they're drinking ahead of time.
That's important.
I can get them all in eye contact and be like, hey, this is a marathon, not a sprint. Yeah. Drink water in between.
Definitely.
Pay attention to what you're doing. Get down that aisle and stand there for a few
minutes. That's important too. Cause I feel like a lot of guys get into the habit of drinking before the wedding, and I'm like, y'all, it's a long day. Yeah. Like you have to pace yourself.
It is.
I definitely tell people that. I said, okay, last couple of questions. I ain't gonna hold you too long, but you say you bring an assistant. Why? What's the importance of having an assistant with you?
I used to not. I used to do it on my own. And then realized I am working a lot harder than I should.
Got you.
So the assistant is really just somebody. Half the time I use them just for like moral support for myself.
Got you.
To be honest.
Yeah.
But other times to like while I'm getting them down the aisle, sending them to the reception or having them make sure the reception space is good, that those vendors are good, that they don't need anything, or if I need her to go get the bridesmaids while I'm keeping the groomsmen in one spot, I have that person there to do that for me.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
And like I said, a lot of people that may be looking into getting into the industry, I feel like you shouldn't be afraid to make a mistake. Like you have to learn. That's how you learn. Yeah. That's how you knew that you needed an assistant, Yeah. So I feel like a lot of people are like, I got to have everything perfect before I start doing this. But I tell people, we kind of got the best job in the world we can, because we kind of get paid to learn, honestly.
Yes.
You know, we're doing our job, but, you know, it may be once. I've plenty of mistakes where, okay, now I know I need 3 angles instead of 2, or you know, or I need a guy. Like I start bringing Paul to weddings with me because Paul can kind of be my mean guy. You know what I'm saying? Like when it's time to
good cop, bad cop.
Good cop, bad cop. You know, I come in, smile, be all cool and everything, and he could be the more of the, hey, no, let's do this, da 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 da. And he's kind of mine because I you know, just doing a lot of weddings, we don't always have the best coordinators. Or some weddings that you don't even have a coordinator, honestly.
Or they just do the ceremony portion.
Or they just do the ceremony portion. So he's kind of my day of coordinator when I need it. You know, like, hey, Paul, let's make sure this go on time. Let's make sure let's stick to this. Make sure it rounded up. So it is good to have an extra person there, even if it's just for, like you said, moral support. It's good to sometimes have somebody to talk to. You know what I'm saying, or something like that.
When you're exhausted at the end of the day.
At the end of the day,
talk to me? Can we go eat now? You don't have to eat by yourself.
That is important. That is important. So okay, so we talked to brides. Tell me something about people that may be looking to get into the industry, that maybe want to be where you at. Kind of tell them about, you know, what's some advice that you may could give them. You know,
don't be afraid to make a mistake.
Got you.
Everything is fixable, to like within reason, and you're there to support the bride and groom, the mama, the dad, making sure that you're always visible to help. And don't be afraid to call a catering company and say, hey, I want to work. Or a florist and say, hey, I'm looking for a job. You need to learn the little pieces and parts that go to a wedding day if you really want to be all-encompassing of a planner. So
that's important.
Yeah.
You don't hear too many people say that. You know, I've seen, or you hear people that just up and get started and never been to a wedding. You know
more power to them.
But I feel like you need to at least know what to expect from a wedding to kind of, you know, really perfect it. And like I said, I love that aspect. What you said, you kind of work from all ends, so you expect what the florists may need, you expect what the photographer, videographer may need, DJ and things like that. Yeah. So I think that's super cool. That's super cool. So you're married.
Yes.
So tell me a little about how was it? How was your wedding day? All right, what's something, if you go back to your wedding day, with you being so many weddings now, what's something you say like, oh, I wish I could have did it like this, or I should have did it like that?
I wish I would have had a planner.
Okay.
I had somebody that got us down the aisle.
Okay.
She was with the church. She was fabulous, and I loved her. But I did not have anybody to make sure that the reception was taken care of. And this was, I mean, I had the vendors were great, but I remember walking in and going over to the cake, and my cake topper wasn't on there.
Oh, man.
And I remember walking back, and I knew them personally. I was like, hey, where's my cake topper?
Yeah.
And it was under the table because they just didn't know it was there.
Yeah. Wow.
So, like, little things like that.
Wow.
I loved my day, though.
Yeah.
I remember it was very fast and just... I remember it being a blur, but I remember the best parts of it too. Like I remember just having fun.
Yeah, that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
And that's why I tell couples now, like, yes, it goes by super quick. It does. So please try to find a second to just sit and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Honestly, because it's over with like that. So
once you get that dress on and that tux on,
it's a blur.
Like, it's hit the ground running.
It's a blur. Yeah. It's a blur. So what do you suggest? Or what are some ways that you kind of help the couple kind of get a chance to enjoy it a little bit?
I just started recently. Well, I've always had, right after their ceremony, they take a minute to themselves to, like, 1, eat, and 2, just to decompress and, like, be present for a second, because you just had, like, everything happen to you in, like, 5 seconds. Plus get married to another person. You know, like, so many things just happen. So I take that minute to decompress. Yeah. But most recently, I've been encouraging, and I saw this on social media on a reel, I've been encouraging them to stay together during the reception. Don't separate from your other person.
Got you.
Whether you're talking to people or not, like, this is your time to, like, support each other. Yeah. And so just keep your hands holding if you can. I mean, it's not always doable, but like, just stay together.
So why is that?
I think it's it helps with one, going through the crowd and meeting all these people. I mean, most of these people, one or the other has never met before. Yeah. Sometimes both of y'all have never met these people, and they're all like, oh my much. I love you so much. Y'all were so beautiful. And you're like, so it breaks that awkwardness that you're having to deal with on meeting people you've maybe never met before.
Definitely.
But it's that first time of really supporting each other as a husband and wife. This is your time to shine.
That's big.
Like you just did a big thing. Now it's time to like actually make it happen.
That's big.
I just loved that. I remember seeing it and thinking, that really is a good idea.
That's big. That's big.
Yeah.
I really like that.
Yeah.
So, kind of tell me and you know what's funny? I had just remembered my question, and then I got so stuck into your question, I forgot it all over again. But no, I really like that. I really like I said, stay together, and that's easy on the photographer part too, because sometimes like, okay, the groom over here, the bride over there, they're gonna take pictures of the bride, and usually I tend to more the bride because you go by the phrase "happy wife, happy life," but you know, so make sure you get a lot of pictures. So, but I'll try to sneak some with the guys in there. Okay, last couple questions I got. I'll talk back with Ladarian. Ladarian seemed like he was very, you know, you meet some guys where like. They just like tell me what time to be there, what time to show up, and I'll be there or whatever. And that's about as much as they go with it. He seemed like he was very involved. Have you seen a lot of grooms do that?
It's very rare.
Okay.
To be honest. I've maybe had one or two that I've actually met and connected with prior to the wedding. Most of them I meet the day of.
Oh man.
Or they're at the rehearsal.
Man. Yeah. So kind of how was that? Like, was it just like, you know?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it because it's not common. And it's just as much for them as it is for the bride. Believe it or not. You know. So I love it when they do get to have their opinion, and the bride allows their opinion to be heard.
That's what's up. And I just remember my question. I'm so glad because this is super important. Okay. Super important. You said that you pushed for trying to get the pictures done before the wedding, right? Explain that to me, and maybe explain that to future brides that may be coming up, right? Okay. That why should they try to knock out as many pictures before the wedding, and why?
Pictures are a big thing right now. Photo, and this is your one thing that you have to remember your day. So I do encourage to do everything prior to the ceremony to ensure that you get all the pictures you've ever wanted. Because if you wait until afterwards, you run the risk of being rushed, because we have to rush. Yeah. We have to get you through those pictures so you have time to have a reception.
Yes.
So you're rushing through. You don't know if you've gotten all your family photos that you really wanted. You don't know if you've gotten enough portrait time with just the two of y'all. Now, all that said, if you are insistent on not having a first look, all I can encourage you to do is get as much of the other pictures done prior to, and again, have a planner to push those pictures after the fact. Like I can't, or have a planner that's hands-on that aspect. I'm very hands-on when it comes to pictures, especially group pictures with like family and stuff, because I've been around the family. So I'm like, here, let's go, filtering them in and out. But it depends. If those photos are the most important to you and the one thing you want to remember for the rest of your life and be able to look back at, I encourage you to do a first look.
Definitely.
Yeah. So you can really enjoy.
I think it's super important. Okay, last two. Okay, so if the wedding, so you're there for 8 hours, right?
Yep.
If the wedding starts at 4, what time should that first look start?
4 o'clock. I usually say about 3.5 hours prior to.
Got you.
You start getting in your dress.
Got you. That will go and knock it out. I feel like that's super important though, because I feel like that makes, and that's why I push to my couples, that makes the day go a lot smoother.
Yes.
As in, now you actually may get to enjoy your cocktail hour. You know, I literally got to send. I had a couple on. They literally asked me for the raw footage. Leah and Will went and Paul. Where they were like, hey man, we didn't really get a chance to enjoy our cocktail. They had the band, they had everything, the violins, everything. And they were like, man, you think you can send me the raw footage so we could kind of look at it? You know what I'm saying?
Well, Ladarian and Courtney were the same way. They had that violinist. They didn't get to see any of that.
Sure did.
I remember Courtney giving him like, did you get any videos? Yeah. I was like, yep, hold on, I'm sending them to you.
Sure did. So that's super important. So I really love what you said there. And, you know, I can't wait to make that a real, because I
Yeah.
feel like couples need to know that, you know, I understand tradition and a big
Yeah.
thing. You might not want to see each other, but you also got to think about you guys spending a lot of money for
Yes.
this wedding day.
Yes.
You at least want to try to enjoy it as much as you possibly can.
Because if you wait until after, you don't get a time to sit and like decompress. Like I'm throwing you into the reception pretty like first thing.
Yeah.
Like you don't get to go and like sit down and calm for a second.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, okay, let's go. We're announcing you in. We're getting all this stuff done. Like we got to stay on schedule.
Gotta stay on schedule, and that's
Right.
where the job aspects comes in. It feel like a job. It's a job.
I know, yeah. You're not
it's
enjoying it at that
You're not
point.
enjoying it. It's this, and
Yep.
once you get a chance to enjoy it, it's almost over.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
It is,
So
literally.
that is super important. I'm glad you said that. So, is there any more tips you may could give a bride or a groom or a couple that's getting ready to, you know, have their big day? Any more tips you may could just give out there?
Just go into it like thinking about what's most important to
Yeah.
you, and then go from there.
That's important.
To be honest,
That's
like
important.
what do you want to remember on your wedding day most, and then break it down from there, and then get a planner.
And get a planner. Get a planner, coordinator, get everything.
Do
get
it.
everything.
It
That's
ensures
important.
that you do enjoy the things
Yeah.
that you want to remember.
That's definitely important. So tell us what may be next for you then.
Wedding season is just around the corner.
Keep it on up.
So it's coming. I don't have anything like very specific in the works, but I have a lot of things that roll around in my head. So I'm hoping to expand All the Pretty Things Bridal Expo in
Okay.
some way next
Okay.
year.
Can't wait.
We'll see what happens.
Excited about that.
And then wedding planning as is, you know?
Excited about that.
Yeah.
That's what's up. That's
Yeah.
what's up. And how many weddings do you try to stick to a year? Is there a certain number? Like, I'm not doing over 40. I'm not doing over 50 weddings. I'm not.
No.
It's just they come, I knock
Yeah,
them out.
if I have availability, I'm booking
That's cool.
just because I love it.
That's cool.
I
That's
probably
cool.
should limit, but I don't.
No, that's good though. That's good. That's good. And then tell us where we can find you at.
Instagram, Facebook. I don't have a storefront yet. Oh, that's yet.
Oh.
Okay. So Instagram, I am LGM Weddings. Bridal Expo is Bridal Expo All the Pretty Things. Facebook, same thing. I'm all over Mississippi. Yeah.
I'm excited.
We'll
I'm
see.
excited. Well, I'm hoping for the next Bridal Expo, I'll be able to have you on at the expo
Yes,
here on the podcast.
yes.
I'll be
I'm
super
all
excited
for it.
about that.
Yep.
Super excited about that.
Yep.
Well, I appreciate it so much, you coming on with us. I really, really do. Once I started this podcast, I was like, I got to get her on. I think I text you before I text anybody else. I was like, hey, what you doing? When you free? I got to go ahead and get you on.
Heck
Because like I
yes.
said, I really love what you do. I'm really a fan of how you do it. You know what I'm
you.
saying? It's different. Then you could kind of feel the energy and the love that you have for it there. You feel what I'm saying? It don't feel like a
appreciate
burden or anything like that to you. So I really, really love that. Like I said, I'm excited to see, you know, your growth from everything that you do from the expo. So I'm hoping, you know, you got a world famous expo, you know,
What?
soon. And I'll be
What?
like, well, I was at the very first one. You know what I'm saying? So I'm
You'll be
excited
at that
about
one too, so don't worry.
Of course,
Yeah.
I'm there. I'm there. Anything you got going on, if I can support any type of way, you know,
Absolutely.
one call away, one text away. So
Absolutely.
I really appreciate you coming on. I hope you enjoyed yourself.
I did. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank
I
you.
love it.
Thank you so much. You gave a lot of good knowledge out
hope so.
there. You really did. You really did. So thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
All right,
Thank you.
till next time, guys. It's your host KP. Got Miss Lauren here. We'll catch y'all next time.